need it. Miyagi Vice, you should get to know me. I cut you in or cut you out. We can play Shinobi. They say it's a recession that we living in. That's what they say. So I don't play about my dividends.
What up, man? Welcome to the Grind Podcast. Man, I got two of the homies who decided to join me for this particular episode, man. We talking vaccines and more. Yeah, it is. So I got, my first homie here, long time homie, L Reezy, Logic Reason. You know what I'm saying? Mr. D himself. I'll let him introduce himself when he come on, guys.
Yes, sir. Am I on there?
Oh, man, I told him a little bit about yourself, man, but go ahead. Give him a start of who you are, my G.
This brother right here is sitting right above the Grind Podcast street.
Right.
You feel me, though, right? This is Logic Reason, a.k.a. L Reezy, p.k.a. Logic Reason. You understand? We're going to be talking about whatever we talk about today.
Yeah, right. That's my man's, man. We talking 20 plus years, man. And then we got the awesome Marquise Money Mike Williams. You know what I'm saying? Better known as Mike Check the MC, man. I'm gonna let him introduce himself when he come in here, guys.
You know, say about the bullshit.
What's up, my mans?
Oh man, everything's super fantastic, man. I gotta pop my head up over here, so I can.
Oh, that's all right. Matter of fact, we might go ahead and get. We'll get rid of that. I have my man's visible right here, man. Go ahead. I gave him a little quick intro, my brother, but go ahead. Introduce yourself once again, man. Let them know the dynamic individual that is Mike Check the MC.
Yo, I am Marquise Money Mike Williams, aka Mike Check the MC, one half of the Verbal Assassins with my brother El Reezy, and man, we're just excited about life, man.
Awesome, man. Like I said, man, these guys are, they my brothers, but they family, they the homies, but they were really more like family, man. And so the other day we had this text thread going. And things was getting kind of heated up in the discussion. You know what I'm saying? And I said, you know what, guys, we might have to bring this to a little bigger platform here, man. The people got to hear this, man. Both of these guys, individuals are awesome scholars, entrepreneurs, as well as educators, guys. So this is going to be a action-packed intellectual battle. No, we just gonna have a nice little dialogue though, about some important issues that we got going on, man. And so what really kind of brought us here was, we was kind of tapping in about, this vaccine, which is basically on the minds of everybody, in the households, around the world right now. And so my take on it is pretty much, it's just a historical piece that really comes to mind with me, man, when it comes to our people. We're not just talking about, politics, but also within the medicine as well. And so we know the history within our people in this country. But, for me in particular, right away, I get to thinking about the Tuskegee experiment, brothers. And, and so for me, that trust has been lost. And, we always often get asked too about why Black men don't go to the hospital as much, and so I feel as though that's the dynamic that kind of weighs in on that as well. So if you brothers could tap in on that, what's your thoughts?
Well, let me tell you something real quick. When you said the Tuskegee experiment, right, and you told me the other day something that I probably glossed over in previous research, that the thing was going on for 40 years. Am I correct in saying this?
That's correct.
So my whole thing is this. First of all, let me say this. When we were texting back and forth, my opinion, I felt like my brother knowing me, I a lot of times bring up a lot of different facts. And just like my wife told me, people think I'm trying to trap them in somewhere. So I noticed with a lot of Black folks who are going against the pro feeling of not getting the vaccination, any Black person who does get the vaccination, they can sense when somebody's challenging them or maybe not. And so what I felt was we started to challenge on the basis of expertise and who's the doctor and all this other stuff. And we know doctors who have taken the Hippocratic oath, they're not really going to get on here and disrespect Western medicine if they want to continue making money in it. That was what I wanted to say, but I didn't want to leave the point that me and him were going at on the text message. So here's the point. It's holistic versus Western medicine. There has been a few people, even through this COVID pandemic, who have come out and exposed themselves as nurses or doctors against what Western medicine is doing. They had reported back in when COVID first hit that hospitals were giving $37,000 to individuals who say have COVID symptoms, and then also they perform some sort of procedure on them, and they were given $19,000, right, for individuals who they could say just have COVID. So it was already a cash cow in the beginning, and so from there we went to the report of skewed numbers of people who are actually dying of COVID. That should have gave Black people another red flag. So all the points that I'm pointing to, and I can keep going down the line, but I don't want to take up time from mic check. This is Black people. A lot of times we eat Chinese food, Mexican food, all this other food, right? We eat this stuff and we put stuff in our body, not knowing the contents that are in it. The only point that I was trying to drive home to Money Mike was know the contents that you're putting in your body. Don't just do it because the experts say. You're telling me experts. I don't have to be an expert to do countless hours of research, whether you think I'm doing it or not, versus somebody who's not going to necessarily tell you the truth. So you have to know the contents that are in it. And Black people, more than any culture, any race in this country, put things into their body without questioning it. I told him squid DNA that's in some of these vaccinations. He responded to me and said, how do we know squid DNA ain't good for you? Well, that's how Black people always approach stuff. Rico told me an interesting fact about the Tuskegee experiment. He said, even after they found a cure, they didn't even use the cure on them. They said, all right, use them as test dummies.
Hey, so, that's a good point. That's a good point, man. And see, I want because you said a lot right there. I mean, we're gonna unpack that too. I'm gonna let Money Mike go ahead and go ahead and tap in on that subject, man.
See, it's crazy because I don't disagree with the debate between Western medicine and holistic medicine. I agree with you on a lot of areas when it comes to putting the right things in your body and knowing, doing the research and understanding what you're putting into your body. My whole position in the debate was, what are your sources in your research? My thought process was, I don't know if you guys remember that old commercial where, people are talking about different things and they're like, how do you know that? And the dude's like, the internet. It's like, we could put anything on the internet. You could publish a blog and say, if you jump 3 times and spin around in a circle, your dick's going to get bigger. But and somebody will look at that and think, oh, that's true. And they're going to do that shit. So it's just a matter of, I feel like in a lot of areas, and I went to a historically Black college, so I felt the whole Tuskegee Airmen experiment, the effects of it continue to linger on to this day. But I think it also positions a lot of us in an area of fear where it's like, you touch the stove and it's hot. So anytime you come around a stove, you're like, damn, I don't want to touch that motherfucker because it might be hot, So, I think this COVID situation, there's a lot of conspiracy theories when it comes, around to it. And I think it's just something that really just hit everybody hard. It's like when I looked it up, 51% of people who died from COVID are white people. 24% are Hispanics. Only 18% are Blacks. So if we're thinking about the Tuskegee situation, I would have think the numbers would have been flipped, to a higher degree of Black people.
Let me address you, if I can.
Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead, brother.
Going off your oven example about the stove being hot. I hear you. You can look at that stove from a distance and you say, man, that shit might be hot. But at the same time, if you go by the way that you've reasoned with, if the stove is hot, then you're on the right track to finding the right information. This even goes back to about the Bible. People have been given the Bible at a young age, but they don't want to question it because they've been told not to. But you know certain things in there don't make sense. Now let's get back, okay?
How do you know it doesn't make sense?
It doesn't make sense because there's something that can counter it, Marquise. You know, like let's go really simplistic, okay?
Okay.
I can tell you that LeBron James is a great scorer, can I not? He averages about 27 points per game, 8 and 8, right? Over his course of his career.
Right.
But you're not going to sell me on the fact that he's a great shooter. So me and you both have to surmise how he's getting his points. My point to you is, Keith, think about this for a second. We bring up all this information about the media and what they're presenting. Rico just told you that they put media information and statistics out there. They even have a thing going on for 40 years. And then after they figure out the cure that they probably sold the public on during those 40 years, that they were trying to find a cure. And this is the reason why they were doing the whole experiment. They don't even use the vaccination or the cure on the tests, people. So what I'm explaining to you is why, as Black people in America, do you not? And I bring up the Bible for this reason only. If somebody's going to tell you some statistics, if somebody's going to tell you that there's a God, there's a devil, there's all this other stuff happening in a book, why don't you feel like you're supposed to use the brain that you were built with that can decipher between stuff, okay, to figure out if something is making sense? The moment they can, Keith, I don't need 1 to 2 to 3. I need one. I don't need 2, 3, 4, 5 examples. The moment they came out on the news and they explained to us that the numbers were skewed, we should have said, what? What do you mean the numbers are skewed? Because there was a document. I can't pull it up right now because, you know, I didn't have enough time. But I did see Brother Polite pull it up. He put it on, and if I could find it somewhere, I will. There's a document that said to the hospitals, even before, in the course of this thing first beginning, they said anything that is considered as symptoms of COVID, even if it's the flu symptoms, even if it's something else, call it COVID. This led to the $39,000 being dispensed, or the $19,000, $37,000 being dispensed, or the $19,000 being dispensed for whatever reason for the hospitals. It's been a cash cow. I'm asking Black people why we continue to put stuff in our body that we don't know, one, what the contents are, and number two, why do we just believe the numbers and the stats that are given to us? That sounds like the 85% versus the 10%, and that's how you get the 5%, right? The 85% is just listening to what they're supposed to be doing. The whole definition of minority is people who's supposed to be told what to do because they don't know what to do for themselves.
All right. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
All right. If I tell you, like, yo, man, I smashed 100 chicks in the last year, right? And if Rico's my right-hand man and he knows the real, then he only smashed 50. The numbers are skewed, but I still got a lot of ass, right?
Yeah, but the question is, why are you lying about it? If it's just 50, what you ashamed about with the 50?
But the point is, I still got a lot of ass. The numbers is being skewed.
No,
people are still dying.
Miyagi Vice,
People are still dying.
Respectfully, Miyagi Vice, if we can stay right here. I'm using every single example he bring up. So if it's just 50, and what was the highest number you said before about smashing them?
100.
Huh?
100. 50 and 100.
Why not just say 50? I'm gonna tell you why you don't say 50 and you say 100. It's a money cash cow. We have never left the whole capitalism thing. It's a different time. The middle class is being X'd out slowly but surely. This vaccination like Dr. Phil Valentine quoted, it's a certificate, right, of vaccination identification.
Mm-hmm.
It's going forward in that. My brother Marcellus, right? He said to me, hypothetically, this is no data on this. He said, I think, bruh, that the first shot is to convince people that it works. The second one is going to do the depopulation. It's all relevant. He ain't getting that from nowhere. So my point to you is they skew the numbers.
Why ain't he getting it from nowhere?
Let me say this last point, because I'm addressing what you said about the 50 versus the 100 smash.
Okay.
You say 100 because 50 don't get you enough people with their arms out, or in your case, legs open. I mean, you got to be the guy if you 100 smashing them all. But if you 50, that might leave some doubt in your mind about how many others you can convince. It's a money cash cow, Keith. And in order for people to take heed to what's going forward, the direction we going with the healthcare stuff, the vaccination stuff, the certificate of vaccination. Because let me tell you, right now, I'm not mandated to take it. But if I work a job, there's going to be a mandatory thing at some point. The nanochip or the chip, whatever, is something that is going in that direction. There is 5G out there going to 6G. And lastly, but not least, we're in 2021, but in 2030, like you educated me on 2 or 3 years ago, cryptocurrency is coming into effect. So everything that you're saying about these tangible pieces of things you can hold in your hand, it's all going to be digital. So what I'm explaining to you is they have to get people primed to buy in. You have to understand that. At the end of the day, they do want us all chipped, but they can't come at us like that. They got to come at with something that's internal to your feelings. They're saying motherfuckers is dying from COVID. Oh my God. When I can sit up here and tell you it's SARS to coronavirus and something they talking about COVID-19, 2019. And I'm telling you that they're trying to get you on board with the fear. If you go back years ago to 2014 to Bill Gates' TED Talk, he clearly came out and said, you know what? The world is too populated. People don't know what to do when the pandemic hit. And he was already thinking about this shit. Now you fast forward. He somehow is not involved really with Microsoft no more. He's over the WHO organization. The World Health Organization.
Now see, hold on, D-Lee. And see, that's the thing, man. See, that's what I see. See, here we go. Here goes the rabbit hole. And no, that's the thing. I mean, the thing, all of these things kind of run hand in hand, right? So, you and I, we build all the time about everything you just touched on, from the Bitcoin piece to the COVID-19 to how things are getting exposed, even with the whole Robin Hood fiasco when they got robbed me and shit.
Me too.
But it's like you said, man, and maybe I'll let Mike Check go ahead because it looked like he wanted to respond to
a real quick question.
Go ahead, Rico.
Just a real quick question. Hey, Keith, I always give you and Rico credit for being like more knowledgeable than me about how to maneuver through this capitalistic world, right?
You do.
I give you guys credit about being more smarter than me, intellectual. But why do you think I speak like this? So I can capitalize on the other side and say I'm smart over here with the spiritual shit? I wonder sometimes when you hear brothers like me speak like this, do you think that we somehow opposed to capitalism? I'm telling you no, because I'm saying this stuff to inform the people I'm really close to. I'm not saying this for kudos. Listen, capitalism gets your money, not spiritual talk. I'm saying this for a reason, to keep yourself balanced. Go ahead. All right.
So I get what you're saying, and I actually agree with a lot of the stuff you're saying. But I guess my position is just, okay, say I didn't lie and say 100. Say I just said 50, right? That's a lot of ass. But does that kill your whole argument? Because 50, that still gets a lot of arms out. That still gets a lot of people saying, you know what? People are dying. It's all ratios and percentages. It's like, do you want to roll the dice and catch this shit and possibly die? Do you want? I'll give you this example, right? When my mother-in-law was staying with me, right?
All right.
When I ventured out to do different things, for business, even though I didn't come in contact with anybody, I was out doing stuff on my own. When I came home, they were like, yo, drop them clothes outside, go get straight in the shower, right? I didn't understand it at first because I'm like, yo, I ain't come in contact with nobody, right? Mm-hmm. But then they showed me the other side, like, okay, well, what if maybe you touched something and you gave my mom COVID, or when grandma came over, you gave her COVID and she died? Would you be able to live with yourself? So it's like that, my dad once taught me when I was little, if something matters more to somebody than it matters to you, then just go ahead and do it. So I don't know everything that's in the shot. I don't know if it's really about depopulation, but what I do know is that several people I know died from COVID. Like people I know.
That they did. They told you that they did that.
Who's that though?
Who told you this? Did you figure this out on your own? Or did somebody tell you that somebody died of COVID? That's all I want to know.
No. My nigga was here. He said he got COVID. Then he was gone.
Who told him he got COVID?
He took a test.
Keith, 85% of the people are misled. Is the point.
Okay, well,
what? And guess
COVID, what? Whatever you want to call it, he got something and he died from it.
Thank you. So let's figure out the real something. Maybe it's the traditional something that he has always gotten. I just told my family, right? We just got tested because one of my 2 jobs I had to be out for 14 days now because I'm somehow exposed to somebody with COVID, right? I heard Rico, I seen Rico said on the text message, skip all this, y'all. Just eat right. Make sure you eat healthy. Exercise. Ain't that right, Rico? You said that's it. You said that, right?
Yeah, I said make sure you're on point with your health, brother.
Right. Now, I'm smoking.
I think the thing you don't understand, though.
As he sit there with a cigar.
Let me finish on this point.
Go ahead.
I told my family, I said, listen, what we got right now is something we always get when winter transitions to spring. Bubs will get croup or whatever that wolf cough is. Anaya will get the cold. I somehow get pneumonia. I told people bronchitis is pneumonia. I always do that dumb shit. Pneumonia, no temperature, green flame, the whole joints, right? I cough for about 2 to 3 weeks. Tanisha after me gets to sneeze. We say, forget. The wife says, let's go get tested. We go get tested. I got to do it anyway. We all come back with negative results. We all eat healthy. We all eat as healthy as we can. We don't put unfamiliar things in our body. My son will literally wake up in the morning and eat a plate of lettuce, or he might eat some noodles. We know noodles ain't healthy, right? But you talking
about them oodles and noodles.
Yeah. But he puts
that we grew up on.
Yeah, he puts familiar into his body. He will shun against anything else. My point is, bruh, they looked at me. I said, you got to kiss the ring. I said, let's stop listening to what they trying to sell us. What normally goes on in our house is what goes on in our house. We ain't changed our eating habits. We ain't going nowhere unfamiliar. So all I'm saying, Keith, is if you did come around grandma, and for the record, real quick, if you can, let the people know how old grandma is.
She's 92.
Now, that puts it all in perspective. No, personally, I know her. I love her too. She's done a great thing for me over the years. Not as close to her as you are. But at the same time, I care about this small woman. And at the same time,
Miss Clark,
whatever I came around her with, let's just assume, like we used to assume, I had a cold of some kind and she's older and she couldn't handle it this time. Let's not suppose it's COVID because they want you to get on the kick. I only ask one question right now at this moment. Why do you think Bill Gates came on the TED Talk in 2014 to tell us that bullshit? The mad scientist himself. Good question, right?
He said, "Why do you think?"
What is
see,
that? The price of beans in Mexico?
Nope. I'm not gonna let you, and I'm not saying you like my wife when I say this, but I'm not gonna let you answer questions like her right now. I asked you a straightforward question, brother, and I don't want you to project or circle around it. Seriously, brother.
Ooh, okay, I got you. Check this out. Is Bill Gates a doctor?
Huh?
Is Bill Gates a doctor?
He is not.
So where did he get his
Not
information
at all.
from?
He got it from a doctor.
Okay, so he got some information from a doctor.
What's that mean?
Came on TED Talk and said this, whatever he wanted to say, right?
I said, why did he do it?
No, I'm asking you, right?
That's whatever. I don't know. I don't know that.
Right.
I don't know that.
Or Bill Gates could be an MC and came up with this idea and just decided to come on TED Talk and talk about it, right?
Around it.
Because COVID has always been around. This is just COVID-19.
Right.
So it's not something new. It's just a different strain.
So if it's always been around, how come we ain't hear about it until 2019? So now you got two questions to answer.
There's a lot of shit that you haven't heard about.
Right. But see, that's what I was going. Hey, El Reezy.
What you say? I ain't never heard.
No. See,
if I was in litigation right now, they will make this brother answer the two questions.
But no, that's what he said. Check it out. So what I'm saying is this, brother, brethren, is see now we tapping into the other side of the equation, man. I think everybody right now, not to overuse it, but the everybody now that we're all awake, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Now we tapping into just the art of manipulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I see you already kind of going into, who said this, who did that, who does what. Well, we know what the media is here for. You know what I'm saying? Some of this stuff is to incite some fear. And then of course, when you get into the whole topic of the elites and the type of discussion that's going on behind those doors, where you got your Bill Gates, who else you think was at that table? When they first started, implementing and talking about these vaccines with the COVID, and because the word is Bill Gates somehow, he funded this thing.
I'm gonna bring us together right here, D.
Go ahead. Let Marquise go. I'm
gonna bring us together, right? Because we're agreeing on a lot of points, but I think we're disagreeing on how we got there, right? So here's my thing. People are dying of something. That something's the variable X, right? Now, how that something came about, manufactured, natural, injected into the atmosphere, given to something to start spreading virally, I don't know, and I don't theorize. All I know is there is something, whether you call it COVID-19, COVID X, flu, whatever you want to call it, there's something that people are dying of, and it's something that is the same thing. You could call it the code. You can't say it's the same thing you've always been getting, because something is magnifying those things. So that's something different. It's a different variable that's added into the equation, D. So you haven't caught that
right
thing
now
that magnifies your pneumonia or bronchitis. Mercy hasn't caught that thing that magnifies his wolf cough. So you have to realize there's something there. Whether I don't know where it came from, but that variable is causing people to die. Now, is it for capitalism? I don't know. It may be. But what I'm saying is that something is there. And no matter if you're healthy, you're putting the right things into your body, people are still catching it. It's just a matter of can you overcome it based on what you're putting into your body, based on your health.
First of all, there's a very small population of people who's putting the right things in their body, and that don't even include me. Okay, I don't even eat meat. I'm a pescatarian. If you really want to know, I'm trying to get rid of the dairy and the cheese. But I'm saying there's a very small population. That's number one. Number two, Keith, I asked you a question about why you think Bill Gates got on that 2014 TED Talk, was talking about depopulation and how he wasn't ready for a pandemic. And then all of a sudden, somehow he migrates into a role of trying to find the vaccination, right? Okay. So
Right, legit argument.
So
but
yeah,
you said if you was in litigation, I would have to answer that question. But litigation isn't based on what I think. I could say I thought he wanted some pussy and he went and got on there so he can get some from somebody. What I think doesn't matter.
okay. So Keys, did everything he said make sense?
I honestly haven't heard the TED Talk, so I can't really give you a opinion on it because I never heard it.
Yeah, see, I would have to go back and because I think I saw like bits and pieces of it too.
All right,
But here's just it. But see, my thing overall though, man, because I know
I gotta address one more thing he said though.
what he said on there.
He said that we can't deny that people are dying of something, right? And let me tell you my response to that so the people don't get me twisted. The media reports on whatever they want you to get all bloviated about and crazy about and exaggerated about. I surmise that we have always died at this rate of numbers over some sort of illness, may it be diabetes, cancer, flu, whatever the case may be. I just told you in the very beginning that there was a government mandate that told the hospital and the medical system that they must, if there's any kind of symptom that falls under the list of what we consider the symptoms to be for COVID, call it COVID. Now they report on it. What I'm telling you, Keith, is you see the numbers, but I surmise that these numbers have been high ever since we've been born.
What numbers have been high since we've been born?
People die every day, B. Like seriously, man.
You can't say 300,000